Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. In the last part we cleared the Forest Temple, and now before we get to the next main dungeon, or at least start the process to it, we're going to be doing some side quests. That's going to be the general flow of things moving forward, is that we do a dungeon, and then we do a part's worth of side quests or so. Usually. There are going to be cases where that's not so much the case. Now the main thing is, since we have over 50 Skulltulas, we can come over here and get the next piece of heart. Though that is the last actual worthwhile reward here.
Thank you for saving my kids. What, me? Oh, that's okay. You have already destroyed 53 spiders of the curse so far, so that's fine. Don't worry about me.
For getting all 100 Skulltulas, we do free the father from the curse. And I am going to be doing that, but I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not worth it. Period. The heart piece is the last worthwhile reward from the gold Skulltulas. I think there are ways they could have maybe rebalanced the rewards throughout the game so that getting all 100 was more worth it. But they didn't do that, so it's going to be pointless to get them all, but I'm still getting them all. For now, though, we want to come over here, as now where there was a building in construction in Kakariko in the past, there's now a finished building that is the adult version of the shooting gallery. Instead of using your slingshot, you're using the bow and arrow we got in the Forest Temple. It's the exact same groups of rupees as we saw in the kid shooting gallery, only the order is randomized. It can be 2 red rupees going either direction, 2 blue rupees, a blue rupee on either side, or a green rupee coming out of the center, either by just raising up or making a jump. I do admittedly have a bit more problems with this minigame than I used to, just because the way I'm recording the game, the controller doesn't work exactly as it does on the actual N64, it's just close enough. But for doing that, we do get the big quiver, which allows us to carry more arrows. Instead of carrying 30, we can now carry 40. With that, now it's time for us to start the major side quest of this part, and one that I honestly don't think is worth doing in the long run. As this side quest is just for one item, yet it takes up the rest of the part and can easily take you over a half hour, depending on how good you are at archery, or finding out secrets. You see, the bow we can actively use while on Epona. It's the only weapon you can use while on her. And if you ride Epona through certain sections of the map, such as right next to the sign, a Poe appears. But this isn't a normal Poe. This is a big Poe, and we'll get over what the difference is in a few moments. There are 10 of these things located all across Hyrule Field. They show up when you run through or next to certain objects, and once you kill them, you can go up next to them, get off Epona, and investigate them. You defeated a Poe the Ghost. Do you want to catch it in a bottle? Yes. You caught a big Poe, so I'll have to go shop for a lot of money. You can also do this to normal Poes, such as the ones you find at the graveyard or here in Hyrule Field, but they don't sell for much, so it's not worth it. The next big Poe is right between this wall and the tree. Run through there and it shows up in either direction. For the most part, I'm going to be jump cutting to the successful killing. As you can see, it's very easy to miss these things, and if they get too far or hit walls in certain instances, they just outright vanish. Now, describing their exact locations on the map can be a bit tricky, so one thing I'm going to recommend you if you're following this LP as a guide is just pay attention to where the yellow triangle is on the Hyrule Field mini-map on the bottom right. As once we start jump cutting, we're going to seriously be jump cutting. For instance, the third big Poe is, I want to say, in the northwestern portion of the map. And here we are. You want to run generally through this bush, and it should appear shortly afterwards. Now, the problem with this side quest is you can only have 3 bottles before doing it, no matter what you do when you do this. Honestly, that's one of my bigger nitpicks about Ocarina, is that they only give you 4 bottles, when this is a relatively large side quest that has 10 collectibles, meaning you need to just outright do a 4th trek for no real reason. Speaking of which, though, we do have our 3 bottles filled, so now we should take those over to the ghost shop in Hyrule Castle Town Market's ruins. It's the storage house that I got a gold Skulltula in earlier in the game, for those who may have missed me talking to this dude a few parts ago.
Oh, you brought a Poe today. Hmm? Very interesting. This is a big Poe. I'll buy it for 50 rupees. On top of that, I'll put 100 points on your card. If you earn 1,000 points, you'll be a happy man.
And now I'm going to fast forward through me getting the other 2, as it's the same text over and over again. This is one of the most tedious side quests in the game, just because sometimes the precision you need with the bow and arrow is just ridiculously high. Sometimes the positioning of the big Poes showing up is ridiculously precise. It's just tedious, and one I often don't do on repeated playthroughs. Also, on that note, if you ever run low on arrows, you can come over here to the Bazaar, which is moved from Hyrule Castle Town to Kakariko Town, and buy either the 30 or 50 piece sets for 60 to 90 rupees. At this point in the game, though, you should only get the 30 piece, as that's more than enough. The next big Poe is towards the west near Hyrule Field, or Hyrule Valley. If you run next to that tree on the side that's closer to the edge of the map, it'll show up. And the next one is basically right next to us at the same time. We want to head a bit further south, and between that part of the building, or if you run next to the hill in that way, this one will show up, but this is a particularly hard one to get, as it moves pretty quickly, and the area is so narrow, it can easily hit a wall and just despawn. I'm honestly surprised I got it like this, because you are probably not supposed to get them like that. The sixth one I want to get is a bit further to the east, in this bunch of trees southwest of the Kokiri Forest entrance. You just need to run next to one of the trees or into one of the bushes. I actually can't quite tell, as there are actively two big Poes in the area, and I forget which one of them this is. To be frank, in a lot of ways, I'm glad they stopped doing these kind of side quests moving forward in Zelda games. Like, we had something sort of like this in Majora, but the closest we got to something quite like this in Wind Waker On was maybe the point where you needed to bring the spring water to all the baby Deku trees in Wind Waker. I don't recall Twilight Princess having anything like this ever off the top of my head, at least. Next up, in that exact same area, I think you have to run, like, next to this rock or something. The placements I can't quite recall, but having where I am on the map should be a good enough guide for those who aren't used to this map yet. This is also one of my biggest problems with Hyrule Field, is that this is one of the few side quests that are actively in Hyrule Field. Next one, by the way, run right of this rock, or left, depending on your orientation on the map, just west of the Kokiri Forest entrance. As Hyrule Field, yeah, there's some grottos here and there that contain some chests or cows, and there's the Poes to do. But there's only, like, 2 heart pieces, I think, and maybe 2 gold Skulltulas. Beyond Lon Lon Ranch, this place doesn't need to be as big as it is for the game, aside from just going, ooh, the N64 can do a lot more than the Super Nintendo sometimes. Next one, just run somewhere near that V-shaped wall east of Lon Lon Ranch. You can either get this one from the top or bottom. I find it to get it easier around the bottom, though. And that's 9 big Poes down. Now, before we get into it, the 10th big Poe, at least my 10th big Poe, is one of the more annoying ones to get, as there are 2 distinct ways you can get it, either by going from above the place where you need to get it, or by going below it. Most people tend to go above it, as it's the option they tend to think of first, but it's right here near Kakariko Village. If you run underneath this overpass, it'll show up and fly in that direction. Some people try to go above it, where they can either have to shoot it from above the platform or running away from it in a place where they just don't have much room to maneuver. This is a tricky one to get, but if you use that rough strategy, it should be gotten relatively easily. That is our final big Poe, though, so let's go and give that to the Ghost Shop owner. I'm warning you again, though, if you're not going for 100%, you just want to get, like, maybe all the heart pieces, this isn't necessary in any regards. In fact, that's honestly the only 100% I would recommend for this game overall is all heart pieces, because all gold Skulltulas isn't worth it. I guess a full inventory screen, if you're going for it, this can be worth it, but not to my tastes.
Oh, you brought a Poe today. Very interesting. This is a big Poe. I'll buy it for 50 rupees. On top of that, I'll put 100 points on your card. If you earn 1,000 points, you'll be a happy man. Wait a minute. Wow! You've earned 1,000 points. Young man, you are a genuine ghost hunter. Is that what you expected me to say? Because of you, I have extra inventory of big Poes, so this will be the last time I can buy a ghost. You're thinking about what I promised would happen when you earned 1,000 points. Don't worry, I didn't forget. Just take this.
And for doing that, we get the fourth and final big empty bottle. I'll be real, I think they should have made this a heart piece and a different side quest to give you the empty bottle, so at least this quest can be done in 3 trips instead of 4. As I think it's that extra 4th trip that's just that little bit of extra insulting. With that, though, if you want to progress in plot, you want to head up towards Death Mountain. With that said, though, there are a few more side things I want to get done, namely over at Lake Hylia. And what's interesting about this is, if I'm recalling correctly, this is the first time I'm entering Lake Hylia the way you're really meant to the first time. As going from Gyarados Valley and jumping into the river is an option, yes, but it's not the actual entrance to Lake Hylia. That's the one I'm heading to right now. You can enter Lake Hylia as a kid, as I believe there's also a ladder on the outside you can climb. But you're really meant to enter here as an adult. That's why the fences are here. Just take a leap and you can get here no problem. It's gonna be a bit odd not having the music here, though, at the same time. Well, Lake Hylia is certainly looking a bit drier. We'll get more into that once we start heading after the 3rd temple, because I'm going after them in what's technically the intended order. Now, there are 2 things we can do here, technically 3. First off, you might remember a scarecrow I talked to over here on the first run-through. Let's see what he has to say now. Hey, aren't you the fairy buddy I met a long time ago? Wow, you grew, dude. Well, here's a song. What? No, I'll never forget. You're the one who forgot, aren't you? If you have an ocarina, play that song, baby. Hey, it's the ocarina. Play that song with it, baby. And that's backwards. Just play the melody you played for him back when. Because now it is the Scarecrow song. Oh yeah, that's it. That's the tune. You rock, I'm blown away. Oh, no, I didn't forget the song. I never forget anything. But I just feel like rewarding you, baby. I have a good idea. My friend Pierre is wandering around, so play that tune when you want to call him. I'll tell him to help you if he's nearby and hears that song, baby. You might remember as a kid, or as a child, Link, there was 2 scarecrows there, but now there's only one because the other one's wandering around. Essentially, whenever you're near a place and Navi flies to a top of a structure like this, turning green, either you should play the Song of Time to make a Song of Time block appear, or play the Scarecrow song to make Pierre appear, in which case you can hookshot up to him. Now, admittedly, this is a case where you don't need to use him, as the magic bean leaf I planted as a child can also take us up to this roof. But in case you didn't do that, you can just do that. And we want to climb up to the top of this ladder, because at the top of it is an item we want to grab. Don't you dare burn! Have I overused that joke yet? I might be getting to the point where I'm overusing that. Ah, well. Now, once the bird is taken care of, we can climb up this ladder to find at the top awaiting a piece of heart. This is one of the few where I think there's also just outright 2 ways to get, though I think you can also do the same for the one at the graveyard cliff if you get the hook shot or use the item from the 3rd temple. But we do still want to ride the magic bean plant, as it's also another way we can get over back to the fishing hole. You can also use the Scarecrow song for this, as Navi will fly over and turn green right about now. But we do want to enter the fishing hole, as it's a next place we can do a major side quest. And just to show where Pierre shows up, there you go, you can hookshot up to him. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 19, we're going to be re-entering the fishing hole to do one of my least favorite side quests in the game, and then progressing on with more side stuff if I recall correctly. See you guys then.